Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have something kind of different for you. The women that I work with get together every Tuesday to keep in touch during the pandemic while we're all out of the office. And some of the last couple of meetings that we've had have been people sharing some of their skills. And they asked me to do a makeup demo for them. So I did film it so I could share it with you as well. Before I get into that, please go ahead and like this video if that's something that you're interested in, or hit the subscribe button so you can see me for future updates. Now I'll tell you a little bit more about this meeting. It was done via Zoom. It's just a really beginner, basic demo with some tips and tricks in there for them, but they seem to enjoy it. I did not film them, and I did not capture their audio, so I don't have to worry about getting their permission to be on the channel. But any of the questions that they asked, I will go ahead and recap them in the subtitles below so you know what they were asking. I do actually have two different eye looks on. I don't know if it looks like it anymore. It's been a couple of hours since we last met. I hope this translates well to the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much, and let's get into it. Oh, wait, no. So, some of them I've had for a really long time, and some of them I have purchased in, like, small sets, but a lot of them I've gotten in subscription boxes. There was a time when I had like 3 a month, and I've kind of gone down to 1.5. I needed to, because it was like there was so much stuff coming in all the time that I was like, I can't keep up, and I don't need any more makeup brushes. So yeah, so these are just like the eye brushes that I use on a regular basis. This one's a highlighter brush. This one's a contour brush that almost never gets used, but both of these came in subscription boxes. This one came in a set from Amazon 1,000 years ago. As I use them, I'll tell you what they're for. The thing that I found the most frustrating about learning how to use brushes is that when you get brushes, they don't tell you what to do with them. The more I look into it, the more it's like, here's this type of brush. You could use this for 15 things. And I'm like, but what do I use it for? And it's like, it's all trial and error. It's about like the shape of your face and the method of application that you end up liking and that kind of stuff. So that's why it's kind of dicey. But like easy stuff, this is a blush brush. If you were to rank your makeup skills from 1 to 10, 1 being I've never put it on my face, 10 being I'm a professional makeup artist, where do you fall in there? I'd probably put myself somewhere in like 6 or 7. Like, I don't think that I've learned a lot from watching other people. I have no training. I know how to put makeup on my own face very well, but apart from that, like I've done a couple other people's makeup for shows, but so it's not like I'm not a makeup artist. But I'm happy to talk you through what I do. Stop me and ask me questions as you have them. If I go through something and you're like, I didn't see what you did, or I don't know what that is, or I don't know what you're doing, just stop me. So if I'm not sure what I'm doing with my eyes, I will usually do them first, which I know feels a little bit weird and ends up making you look a little bit weird partway through the process. I'm going to put something on my face now because I have really dry skin, and if I don't put something to prep, my makeup will get kind of, it'll get like crunchy. What I just put on my face is a primer. It's called Glassy Skin? Glassy Skin. So for me, I'm normal in the summertime, but I'm dry wintertime and fall. So, okay. So I'll try to remember to talk about both of those things, but a lot of the things that I do are for people with dry skin, because like I don't use powder and I don't use a lot of setting sprays, like stuff that like would make me end up looking drier. I try to stay away from. It's just 1 pump of foundation. I don't do a ton. And my preferred method is with a brush. So I'll kind of dab it on my face. And I still have a ton of that. Like, I did only 1 pump. There's a ton of product still on my hand. If you use fingers, you can use fingers. I have also a beauty sponge here that I'll probably use afterwards. I'm spending a lot of time blending in that very little amount of foundation because you want to make sure that you're not leaving you're not leaving streaks on your face. I have, as you can see, I've got kind of an interesting hairline where my hair has come down really, really far. So I do still try to blend into my hairline so you don't see like the mask around here. And I blend all the way down here. one of the things, so I'm actually going to go and see places that I think I need a little bit more, because like I said, I didn't use a whole lot. I just used a little bit of foundation. I go back and I kind of see like, I want to cover up maybe a little bit more. I want to cover up the too much tan I got on my nose when I was at the beach. Even it out. According to most cosmetics, your skin tone is either neutral, warm, or cool. That's deceiving because everyone, like it's a spectrum. It's not like either your skin is pink or your skin is yellow-ish. It's like, but there's a varying kind of degrees in there. And also I have olive skin, which means that I don't really fit into the warm or cool. I don't fit soundly in there. A lot of it looks either yellow or peach in comparison to my skin. Things that I have found useful are like, this looks super, super blue. This does not add a whole lot of pigment. But if this was not quite the right shade for me, through trial and error, I can put a little tiny dab of that blue in there. And I can neutralize some of the orange, make it a little bit less peach, and make it match my skin a little bit better. Foundation mixing pigment. This is LA Girl. This is inexpensive. This is like $5 or something. You can also, I actually have a bunch more because I went through a phase where I was having a really hard time matching my own foundation. So this one from e.l.f. adds warmth, like makes it almost like more reddish bronzy. This one makes it deeper, because that little stripe is the color that's in there. This one makes it lighter, and this one makes it more golden undertone. I'm doing a lot of blending because I'm just trying to talk and I don't know what to do. I don't want to move on to the next step. Yes. Can you see the difference in those? And I'm somewhere in the middle now. This one's a little bit in the middle. After I do the brush, sometimes there are some brush strokes left on my face. So this is a wet sponge. I have 2 of these just to show you how different they look when one's wet. Yeah. You want it to be a little bit damp, like squeeze it out really good, but it'll absorb less of your product. But this also helps to kind of get rid of, like, if I have any brush strokes on my face, which I might not right now, but if I had any brush strokes, this is just going to kind of smooth those out. You use more product. So I don't color correct. And if you're a color correcting person, you can do that now. You can do it beforehand. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that too. You use more concealer if you conceal first and then put your foundation on. And then you might end up with a really cakey, is the word that happens a lot, with a really cakey finish. I have 2 concealers. They will look more or less the same. Maybe you can see that this top one's a little bit lighter. I'll use this one if I happen to have any blemishes, if I had a pimple, if I have a scar, something that I picked on my face, because I do that. I do not have any of those at the moment, so that's nice. This one can go away. I had some questions about concealer turning your under eyes gray. If you use a concealer that I think is too yellow for your skin, it might make those circles that are like maybe bluish look kind of green, which could kind of leave you with that gray undertone. If you have like really pronounced under eye circles, you may want to use like a peach or an orange color corrector. Yes. Yeah. So you know what? So that's a good. I'll go through some of the color correction. This orangey color is nice for dark circles. It is going to depend on what your dark circles look like. If they're more purple, yellow is good. If they're more blue, then the peach is nice. This green corrector is if you have redness that you want to cover up. And this lavender is to add brightness. So if your skin looks kind of dull, the lavender is supposed to brighten it up a little bit. I don't play around with a lot of this. This is not like for every day, for non-photo shoot type makeup, that this feels like overkill to me. But that, like, makeup is no rules and personal preference. So if it's something that you feel like you want to play around with, certainly go ahead and take those steps. That's just not something that I do. I had a concealer palette, like color corrector palette, and it was not a tube like that, but they were like it was like something like this. It was like all like creams in a palette like this. and they were far too thick, and anything I did just ended up creasing and creasing and creasing, and I was like, this is too much work for me. Like, I'm done. And a lot of stuff that they do on like Instagram or whatever, I don't bother with. Like, if I feel like that's a step that I don't want to do, I'm not going to do it. Like eyebrows, for example. I have a lot of eyebrow already. This is just me having put foundation. Like, there's nothing on my face apart from foundation. I'm really lucky, but so I know a lot of people don't have that much eyebrow. So when it comes to doing eyebrows, I can guide you a little bit, but I don't draw eyebrows on, so I don't really know like how to do it. I just know how I see other people do it. So that was a little sidebar. So for concealer, if you watch a lot of YouTube like I do, you see people put it all like big triangles of product on their face. They blend it out. I do not. I've learned this from one makeup artist that I watch. He does one dot here, and one dot there. He might actually do a second dot there if you need it. All I do is I take my finger and I gently pat that out. I tap, 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 little tiny movements until I get to kind of the coverage that I want, and then once I have it, I start to blend it under my eye. I probably didn't even need this that I probably could have got done with like just one dot or 2 dots of concealer. If you have really oily skin, like oily under eyes, you might want to set that with a little tiny bit of powder. Using a lighter concealer under your eye is essentially highlighting the area. So what you're trying to do when you highlight something is to make it appear like it's further away from your face, right? So when you're looking at something, shadows look deeper, and something that's bright looks closer to you. So you don't want to put this maybe right under your eye. You want to kind of focus that in the area where it looks recessed and make it appear plumper in that circle area, right? Like, so mine doesn't go close to my eyelash. Mine goes mostly down here. And if you have puffy under eyes, then you might want to use a concealer that is maybe a little like half a shade or a shade darker than your skin to make it appear like it's further down, like it's deeper. And that is the whole concept between contouring too. So like you put that someplace where you want the shadows to appear. That's another step that like I'll do it a little bit today, but I don't usually contour. I'll do it so we can do it together. You can use the exact same technique with the fingers if you have a pimple that you want to cover up, or if you have like hyperpigmentation, or you've got an age spot or something that you want to get rid of. Like I have those, but you can't see them on camera, so I'm not going to worry about it. Let's continue with the face. So what I tend to do now is I work from kind of bottom to top. These are all optional steps. I like to do my sculpting with bronzer, blush, and highlight, more or less. They can overlap a little bit, but you don't want like your highlight to touch your bronzer or your contour because it'll end up looking kind of gray. This is the contour color, and I don't know how well you can see that, but it looks kind of like almost like a grayish brown, as opposed to like this one is more like an orangey brown. Bronzer mimics suntan, and contour mimics shadow. So if I'm going to look at my face, I don't really have defined cheekbones. Like even if I suck in, you can't see like my jawbone is like my cheekbone is here. So what I would do is I would take a little bit of this. I'm using kind of a small tapered brush that has a lot of product on it. I don't want to put that on my face. I would take a small tapered brush like this so I can kind of focus where that's going to go. I tap it off so I end up with way less product on there. And then I pray. And like, so just like I did where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to find this spot on my face where I want that contour to appear. I'm going up and down. I probably shouldn't be. I should probably just be going down. Wherever your powder brush touches your face first is where you're going to see more color. So if you think about how shadows work, the deepest shadow would be back here. And then as the light hits it, you see a little bit like it'll appear more out, right? So the most color I want to be back here, and then it'll kind of blend out. That is probably not doing a ton. It looks like more in my iPhone. I'll blend that out a little bit better, but I just want to see what I can do. So I'm doing the same thing on this side. If I don't pick it up, though, we're going to be here all night, and I don't want to do that either. I'll try to get you out of here by 8:30. We'll make it happen. All right. So I feel like I've got a thing going on there. Whenever I feel like I've done too much on something, this is a clean brush. And I just blend it in. Alright, so doing the same-ish idea with bronzer. I go a little bit bigger and fluffier because I don't want it to be quite as defined. And again, tap a little bit into bronzer. Just a little bit, like kind of right on top of it, maybe a little bit higher. Anything you add to your face is going to end up sculpting it. Maybe I'll do a little bit like I got some sun. W is kind of a nice shape for bronzer because when you go out into the sun, it hits you here. At least it hits me there because I have one of the bigger noses of anyone that I know. Blush placement. I have recently learned some fun things, so I will demonstrate both. Exactly what I'm using isn't super important. I think I'm not going to use this though, because this is dangerous. Actually, I will use it because then if I mess up, I can teach you how to fix it. Inevitably, I put far too much of this on my on myself. So, common placements for blush you can do in the apple of your cheek, which tends to look a little bit more youthful, or you can do high on the cheekbone, which helps to make you look a little bit more sculpted and a little bit leaner in the face. So, I'll do one side with one, and we'll do one side with the other, and see how if the difference is visible. But this is a little bit more youthful. Kind of makes your cheeks look rosy. You can kind of blend that out there. But if you want it to look a little more sophisticated, you can focus that up here on the cheekbone instead. It depends on if you want to accentuate the roundness or if you want to mask it. So Jen, if you want to play around with it and see which one you end up liking better on your face, if I were you, I would err towards maybe not quite right here, but maybe a little bit here and back, because your cheeks are prominent, and if you try to hide it back here, it's going to look like you're trying to change the shape of your face. And maybe you can do it a little bit, but I think it would be better to just kind of work with what you have. If I was going to say on you, I would try to go from the pupil of your eye and out, and try to stay away from right here. Amateur tip. Use just a little product at a time, because you can always add more. Once it's on, it's harder to take off. I'm gonna do too much on purpose, and I'll see if you can see it, because I do it at least once a video when I film for my channel, where I don't tap off enough and I end up with, it's not doing it now, but I end up with far too much blush on, and then I look at myself and I'm like, oh, well now I look like I got punched in the face. So what I do is, where did I put my foundation brush? Is it all just laying on top of me? So I can't find my foundation brush. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that blending that sponge that has hopefully a little bit of foundation on it, and if not, I'll add a little. And you just add a little foundation, and you can kind of blend it out and make it look just a little bit less crazy. I prefer the brush because it has more product on it, but I really don't know what the hell I did with it. Oh, I found it. It's hiding under this makeup wipe. There it is. So now I'll have to wash this because now this has got blush on it, but that's okay. So highlighter is for the points of your face that are like the highest points on your face that maybe you want to highlight. My nose is big enough. I don't want it to look any bigger, so I don't put highlighter on it. But things that I'll do is I'll do a little bit up on like this, like the highest point of my cheekbone. You don't want to look like you're made out of glass. I think most people in day-to-day don't. On Instagram, they kind of do. And the other places that I like, the place I like the most is just this Cupid's bow. It gives a little bit of a glow. Make my lips look a little plumper. Some people like to do the bridge of their nose to make that look like it doesn't indent as much. Some people like to do the tip of their nose. I don't want that. I typically bronze that to make it look a little bit shorter. I don't need it to look any bigger. Some people, if they don't have like a prominent forehead, they might highlight like just above the brow bone, but I'm usually Cupid's bow and just my cheekbones. Absolutely chin. Where's your bump? I don't see it either. Everyone's super critical of their own stuff, isn't it funny? I have a little bit of that. Well, mine's just really straight. So if from the side, I'm not doing anything. There's no way that I'm hiding that. But from straight on, I might put a little bit of bronzer here to make it look like it goes in instead of coming out, right? So that's like the magic of contouring again. Something that some people do, and I'll do it for you today, they contour the bridge of their nose to make it look sharper. Like right up through the eye socket here. I probably could use it. I'm using the that contour again. That contour shade again. You can use, if you have a brown eyeshadow, that'll work too. So here's my eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna go into one of these brown colors. So if you already have a skinny nose, you don't want to do that because you don't want to make it look like a little pinched nose. But if you have a broader nose like I do, maybe I want to make the tip of my nose look a little bit thinner. I just used an eyeshadow brush for that too, because I wanted something that was smaller than all these face brushes that I have, right? So the brush that I used, actually, and I told someone I was going to talk about the brushes. I talked about this one. Highlighter brushes. I have a couple options here. Because I used kind of a cream one, I used this guy. If this was a powder, this would be too dense. The denser the bristles are, and kind of the firmer the brush is, the more products it's going to apply. So like this guy, way less dense, much softer, nice for powder, gives you a really nice dusting of stuff. But the one that I was using was kind of a cream highlighter, so I wanted something that would kind of dig into it a little bit more to pick up some product. All right, eyeballs. I'm gonna start with the smoky eye for Myra, and then I'll move on to kind of like the gradient that I do every day. You can choose to do matte, which is the non-shimmery. I don't know, I really don't know how to do it in two different ways. Like, can I point there? I can never figure it out. These guys are matte on this side, and these guys are all shimmery. They have oil in them, and they catch the light. I'm a big fan of shimmer eyeshadow, like in general. I like shimmery eyes. So I'm gonna do that. And something I learned about smoky eyes in the last couple of weeks while I was looking it up is that there's no real good definition as to what exactly it is. Like, they all looked different from what I saw. But what I did end up finding out was that they all have some depth on the outer corner, and they have some like dark color and some dark color here. And that's kind of what made it smoky. I'm going to do, in order to give you kind of two really different eyeshadow applications, I'm going to do kind of dark all over the lid, or at least darkish. And this I'm going to do lighter to darker. So that way you can kind of see the differences there. In order to get that shadow on my, like the deep shadow on my lid, I am going to use a shimmer because I prefer it. If you want to use a deeper matte shade, then you can. But in here, if we're looking at the mattes, I think this guy is probably the darkest. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to go for this guy. Somewhere kind of medium-ish. Something where I have something darker to blend it out later. Actually, if you want a pretty intense application, like you don't want it to be soft and blended, you want it to be like impactful, the flat dense brushes are the way to go for this. Fluffy blending brush. All my brushes are dirty. I'm such a bad example. And flat shader brush. So really densely packed, fluffy, okay? There's everything in between for those. There's everything in between. If you're using your... How many? Wait! Hold on, wait, I have to put these down so I can pick up more. Actually, I'm just going to show you this way. A lot of these I got in the subscription boxes. They started coming fast and furious, and I was like, I don't even know what to do with all these. All right, so I've gotten that, kind of that medium brown on my brush. And I'm just going to pat it onto my lid. So something that I keep doing in my videos is I keep going like this. I close my eye, and I do something, and then I open my eye and I go, well, where'd it go? Because I have a bit of a hood here. Some people don't have that. Some people, when they open their eyes, they still see a lot of their lid. I'm looking slightly down, but if I look straight, I lose a lot of that. So that's why I kind of do the same eye look all the time, because I've learned what kind of suits my eye shape. But something that I try to do is not when I'm doing my eyelid exactly, but when I'm doing like crease work or when I'm trying to contour my eye, I try to open it. I either open it frequently or I just apply it open. Okay, so if you have any kind of like face spray, water will work as well. You got some shadow on your brush. If you spray your brush, it get a little bit wet when it's got the shadow on there. Don't spray the palette, you'll ruin it. You might get more color on your eye. All right, so I'm being pretty sloppy with this, right? I'm not super worried. I'm just patting this all over my lid because it should be, it should end up being relatively even. Like you don't have to worry about doing a really light hand. We'll blend it out afterwards, but for the time being, it's just as much shadow as possible to get the coverage that you want. Fluffy brushes give kind of diffused color all over. The more dense they get, the tighter packed they are, the more intense the color is. Your finger will give really, especially for shimmers, your finger gives really nice application. So I'm going to take this brush that has nothing on it, and I'm just going to go around the edges here and blend it out a little bit. And I don't care if it's up in my crease, I just don't want it to go up to my eyebrow. A phrase I've once heard, though, is what you blend extends. So wherever you want your color to stop, don't go that high. Go a little bit lower, and then when you blend it, you can bring it up to where you want it to be. To make it a little smokier, I'm going to take, this brush is pointy, but it's still pretty fluffy. So it gives me some precision with my application. I'm going to go into the deeper shade in this palette. This is a matte shade. It could be a shimmer. I don't really care. But I'm going to do a little bit of that on here. And I'm going to look at the shape of my eye. And I want to kind of accentuate the lift that I have. So I don't want to drag my shadow pretty much anywhere down past here. I'm going to try. I frequently mess this up. And this is where keeping my eyes open comes in handy. Again, wherever you put your brush first is going to end up with the most color. So I actually messed up. And I put my brush here first. So that's a little bit darker than I really want it to be. I should have started here. Because eyeshadow originally was designed to contour your eye the same way that we contoured my cheeks and my nose earlier. So if I wanted to just do something really, really simple, I could just do a deep shade in my crease and have that be it and just make my eyes look a little bit further deep set, a little more glamorous there. I'm going to take, this is a very pointy and a pretty structured brush. Like it's called a pencil brush, and this has a lot of structure to it. I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take that first shimmer that I used again on here. Not too much. And I'm going to try to draw under my eye a little bit. So this is how we get the smoky part of the smoky eye. I always get very nervous here because I don't want to drag it down too low because it ends up looking like I have bags under my eyes. I just concealed them. I don't want to put product here so I look sleepy again. So I try to keep it very, very, I connect it to where to my outer corner where I put that contour, but I want to bring it under my eye just a little bit, very close to the lash line. If you have a lot of space here, you can bring that down further. If you're using a lighter color, you can bring it down further. But I think I'm about where I want it to be. I hold my brushes pretty close to the end. The closer you hold it here, the more pressure you're putting on your eye. The more color you're going to get. You have a lot of control here, but you're going to be putting a lot of that shadow down. Here is a little bit lighter. It gives you a more diffused, a little bit lighter application. If I was feeling really ballsy, I might take a little bit of black that I have in this giant thing. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, nobody judge me. I might take a little bit of black and pray. This is the thing that I say all the time. And again, I'm gonna go right to where I want the deepest, like the place to look the deepest in my eye. Black eyeshadow, you need the tiniest amount to get any kind of change. Like, I went like this into that eyeshadow. And I'm looking at it, and I'm probably going to do this. But again, and I did a pretty decent job with it, where I tried to keep that shape right around here, because that's the eye shape that I like on me. If you have, if your eyes are already lifted, then maybe you want to bring them down a little bit. If your eyes are droopy, or maybe you just want to bring them back to center. It's all going to depend on what you think ends up working best for you. And if I wanted to clean that up a little bit, I'm pretty okay with it. I might take that foundation brush again and go just to bring that shape up a little bit if I let it get a little bit out of control there. Smoky eyes can be any color. I did browns because I think that's, first of all, what most people have. They're fairly neutral. You can use them for almost everything, like for any kind of eye look. But I have a bunch of blues. I've got all kinds of fun eyeshadow colors that's embarrassing. And you can do it, like, the part that makes it smoky is having some deep color and then going, like, pulling it down under your eye. So now my favorite eye look I'm going to do over here. Fluffy blending brush. And I'm going to use probably, this is a matte shade that looks a little bit deeper than my skin, right? It's reddish. It's like a reddish brown, but like warm brown is what we say. But I'm probably going to use that shade there. And again, just want a little bit on my brush. Still too much. And I'm going to work in my crease. For someone who has a very hooded eye, or maybe a monolid, you want to really try to pull this above where it's like, so you can see it. And you might just want to do a little tiny bit. Honestly, your best bet is probably to do most of your fun stuff at your lash line. I have bad habits of, I want to do this, but that means I don't have as much control over where it's going. If I can make it go straight to my face, that is better. So I'll kind of turn here so you can see. I use just a little bit and I build it up to where I want it to be. You might say, I don't know where I want it to be. And that's all trial and error. My goal is to be able to see the color, but not see the edges of the color. To have it kind of fade out to nothing. So I'm doing my windshield wiper motions to get it applied. I started out here because I want the color to be heaviest there. And when I think that I've got pretty much nothing on the brush, maybe I'll go back and I'll just look at the edge and I'll blend that out more. So you can see on camera, it kind of just looks like that's a deeper shadow of my eye. Like it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on there. This is called a transition. It is the transition, I guess, between skin and shadow, I suppose. I don't really know why it's so named. And I'm kind of going to use a similar technique to what I did here, where I'm going to go into, maybe we'll go with this guy for a little bit of a change. Oh, I can't figure out which way my brush goes. And I'm going to focus this from the corner of my eye and up. And then across my crease. So instead of doing, like, all over the lid, we're going to make a V. So that's kind of a similar idea here. The difference is this eye is going to be light on the inside and go out. But I still always want kind of the same effect of making that outer corner look a little bit deeper. And on a normal day, I don't really do anything on my lower lash line. It depends on what everyone else kind of likes to do. I don't really like to do anything. It makes me feel, it just feels a little bit overdone for my day-to-day. This has a really nice, like, kind of highlighty shade here, which you can put on your face if you wanted to. But I'm going to use this. Don't pull on your eyes too hard. I just am bad. Maybe I'll just do this and I'll try not to do it. And I just tap it. You can use, if you're doing an all matte look, or if you don't want the shininess, like you don't feel like you look good with shimmers, you can use your face powder. Here's my eyeliner. I'm gonna whack this on, as one of the YouTubers that I watch says. This one is like a felt pen. So let's see if you can see. Yeah, this is a brush. I've got all kinds of stuff. I've got pencils. I've got a gel pot that I've never used because I'm afraid of it. I've got Oh, I've got one that my favorite eyeliner that I don't use all the time because it's a little bit, it's good for wings that I'm not going to do today. We'll do it another day of wing eyeliner. But this is a harder point, and instead of all the eyeliner is in this, and sometimes this gets clogged up. In this case, all the product is here. So you dip and can apply. I prefer this quite a bit. And I think the reason I'm not using it all the time is because I want this to last, because I haven't found anything else that does this. But because it's a nice hard point, a lot of them that are brushes, like I make a big mess. But I like something that's got kind of a, not too much give, like it gives me a nice point. And, oh, I'm going to mess that up if I do that there. You're supposed to go in to out, like where you want thinner to maybe thicker. But I can only do that on my right eye. On my left eye, I pretty much go the same direction, so I just kind of fake it. And usually what I do is I use a mirror that stands on its own, and I pull on my eyeball. If you want to get out of that habit, if you have a mirror that you can hold or that can stand, and you put it below your face and look down into it, your eye is mostly closed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't do that very often, but I cheat. This is mascara. It's $5 mascara from Ulta. Some people say to hold it and to blink into it to try to get a nice lift to your lashes. Some people turn it towards themselves, then as they blink, turn it out to try to separate more. That all feels like a lot of work to me. that's practice, because I usually it's the eyeliner. Like, and actually I skipped my waterline. I'll have to go back to do my waterline because every single time I'm like, my favorite mascara that I have ever tried, and I do not currently have it, is the It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. I put it on and I felt like I had giant falsies on. I was like, oh my god, they're so pretty. This one has a pretty nice effect. That one's like a $23 mascara, and that just seems like, for something that you open and you throw away 3 to 6 months later because it dries out, that just seemed absurd to me. I got that sample in like an Ipsy or something, and I was like, and if I got it in Ipsy again, I would use it until it was dead. Like, absolutely. But this stuff, well, this one's actually lasted me a really long time. I've been using this since like November, December of last year. It's probably time for it to get thrown away, because you're not really supposed to keep your mascaras that long. But I'm a fan. This is the one where I'll usually open my mouth, but we'll try not to. I would say, if you like the way it looks on you, then wear it. I used to do, not the waterline, I used to do actually under the lash line. And as I've gotten older, I just like this look more. This makes your eyes look smaller, and some people don't really like that. But for me, my eyes are pretty round already, so I don't really mind if I lose a little bit of that real estate. Some people like to put white or nude to make their eyes look wider. That's fun. For me, it doesn't stay long enough for it to be worth it. I'm going to use the one that's in my project pan. We're going to go really red because I happen to have this out in my hands. And also, this is like the worst tip of lipstick I've ever had in my life, but it's so old. I'm totally guilty of this. You're not supposed to like stretch your lips out. I do too. I do it all the time. But here's the idea, is the same thing with your eyes. You don't really know where you're putting it. Like, when you stretch your lips out, it goes one place, but then maybe when they go back, maybe it ends up looking crooked because you've had them all stretched out. I'm trying to finish this one up. This is like I'm in a musical that takes place in the 1930s, and everyone wears red lipstick, and so I've been using this for years, and I'm just trying to finish it to get rid of it. No, I don't support the Kardashians, dude. We don't support the Kardashians here. If you wanted an eyebrow tutorial, I'm sorry you're not getting it. I just fill in that spot on my eyeballs. The last thing that I just did is I just took that highlighty shade in the middle there, and I did a little bit. Some people don't really like shimmers on their brow bone. If you just wanted to do something like a light powder, you can do that. I did a little of my brow bone, and I did my inner corner of my eye to make my eyes look wide open and bright. All done. All right, so now you can see how I'm very much not a makeup artist, but I do enjoy sharing whatever knowledge I have. Those ladies seem to enjoy the night, and I think that everything turned out pretty well. Hopefully everyone learned something. If you liked this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. To see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I hope that this ends up translating well. If it doesn't, I guess I probably just won't put it on the channel. We'll see. I just did like a beginner tips and tricks kind of what am I trying to say? I did just kind of a beginner tips and tricks kind of I am like the queen of cheap makeup. I'm gonna do contour today because told you I'm going to, but I don't usually, so everyone pray for me. I almost went, I didn't do the other eye. Right, we're not supposed to do the other eye. We're gonna do something else. Trying to keep my eyes open even though this thing is touching my eyelashes and it feels weird. Do we feel like I gave you enough instruction on that? Or too much instruction? Okay.